for a very special message for all ages this morning. I'm going to invite our Director of Religious Education, Thomas Karst, up to the lectern.
Good morning, everybody.
This is it.
What is it, anyway?
This is your final message for all ages as the Director of Religious Education here at UUCJ. This is, you're saying goodbye to all of us.
Well, I mean, I'm still going to be here. Remember, I'm signing the membership book this morning. So after today, I'll be an official member of the church. So I'm not really leaving.
Okay, I get that. But it's still a big deal. And I kind of feel like you're minimizing this whole thing the way that you tend to kind of minimize everything you do.
So you mean like the time that I almost let Tyler die in a frozen river in the woods because I thought he was faking sick?
He had pneumonia, Thomas.
It's a true story. It's funny because it's true.
The point is, this is seriously the last time that you're going to deliver a message for all ages to the entire congregation as the DRE of this church, and that is a big deal. It's you saying goodbye to all of us.
I'm sure Tyler will need an acting partner from time to time, so I'll be around occasionally.
In other words, goodbye.
It's not goodbye.
It is goodbye.
What's the big deal?
Just say goodbye.
What do you want me to say it for?
Because it shows that you know that you're going.
But I'm not really.
All right, fine. You don't want to call it a goodbye. That's fine. But at the very least, it's still a big deal. If nothing else, I guess it's kind of like maybe the series finale of a beloved TV show.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. So maybe for this last message for all ages, we'll just stand here and drink a final beer like we were in a pub in Boston and contemplate the meaning of life.
We could do that, or we could all just do like a really big group hug and sing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary."
Or I could just call this whole thing in and simply recap all my best messages and then get arrested for violating Good Samaritan law.
Okay. Or we could play a Journey song on the speakers while we eat some onion rings and then just cut to black.
We could reveal that the last 2 years have all been a fantasy inside a snow globe.
Okay. Or we could just let you die on the floor of the sanctuary surrounded by a whole bunch of crystal meth.
These are all really bad ideas.
Those are really bad ideas, you're right.
So how about this? How about I just invite the kids up? Kids, you can come on up here, and I'll just say a little something.
That's a good idea.
Okay. How's everybody doing this morning? So this is Mr. Thomas's last day as the Director of Religious Education here, but I want you all to know that this is not me saying goodbye, because it would be really hard to say goodbye to all of you. Like, I would miss every Sunday hearing your name and your age and what you had for breakfast. I would really miss watching all of you grow up and change and laugh and cry. I would miss that so much. I would miss making hand motions up while we were trying to sing Peace Like a River. That took a few weeks. Do we remember that? It was not all coordinated when we started. But you know what I would miss the most? I would miss what all of you teach me. which is weird because I'm supposed to be your teacher, right? But it's true. I learn a lot from all of you. I've learned that you can meditate underneath the chairs in Children's Chapel. When we talked about spiritual practices, I learned that imagination is one of the most important spiritual practices, which is pretty cool. This is probably the biggest one. I've learned that when I am happy or sad, it's so good to have a group of people to talk to. And if you've learned anything from me, I hope it's this. I hope you've learned that each and every one of you have something to teach all of you. So this morning, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying thank you so much for letting me learn from you. And that goes for all of our kids, but also our congregation. So this morning, since I don't want to say goodbye and I want to keep learning from you, I am going to sign the book. And so Mr. Tyler has the book, and I hope a pen, because I think I left a pen. So if you'll just pass that over here, Mr. Tyler. So does that sound good? I'm going to sign the book to be a member here at the church. Here, Jamie, will you hold this real quick for me? Okay. All right, here we go. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right. All right.
You know, before we kind of sing our kids out, I want to take a quick moment to talk about Thomas. Many of you here at this church are aware that I have known Thomas actually for many, many years. Long ago, in what kind of seems like another life now, I was the youth pastor of a local Christian church here in town. And that's where I met Thomas, who was a part of the youth group there. Thomas was already a recognized leader among his peers, and for good reason. He had earned the trust and respect of everyone. So Thomas and we became friends. And after I left that church, Thomas and I lost touch for nearly a decade. When I was officially offered the position of minister here at UUCJ a couple of years ago, one of the first major decisions that I had to make was to help select our next director of religious education. There was only one name at the top of my list: Thomas Karst. To make a long and interesting story short and boring, Thomas accepted my request to apply for the position, and he was hired by our board. Over the past couple of years, you have all seen firsthand why I wanted Thomas here. He has educated, entertained, and inspired us through his weekly message for all ages. He has delivered thought-provoking sermons. He has helped turn our monthly intergenerational worship services into must-see events. He has directed a small army of dedicated volunteers to help create a stronger religious education program than I could have ever built by myself. And he did all this working only 10 hours a week as our DRE. When I was DRE, I was working close to 50 hours a week, and I never created a program that looked anything like what Thomas has helped to oversee. But Thomas's greatest contribution to this church is probably not seen by the vast majority of you, at least not directly. Behind the scenes, Thomas has been to me an invaluable resource. He has been a sounding board, a debate partner, a quality assurance officer, a BS detector, a first officer, whatever you want to call it, he has been that and more. Over these past couple of years, there's not been a sermon that I've delivered, there's not been a worship service that we have shared in that was not in some way shaped or influenced by Thomas. But because he eschews the limelight, no one here besides me understands just how valuable Thomas has been to UUCJ and our ministry here for the past 2 years. Perhaps most importantly, at least to me personally, Thomas has supported me when I needed help to keep moving forward. Don't get me wrong, I love this job. I wouldn't trade this job for anything. It is an honor to be your minister. But there are days when it can be a really difficult job. Being the spiritual leader of nearly 300 people is sometimes a heavy burden. Thomas is a big fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, so I'm going to use a Lord of the Rings analogy. And forgive me if you find this just a touch melodramatic, but it still feels true to me. Some days, I have felt the burden of leadership here, the burden of that power, like a massive weight chained around my neck. On those days when I have felt most like Frodo Baggins, Thomas has been my Samwise Gamgee. I could not have made this journey without him. And for that, I will always be grateful. Thank you, Thomas. And since this is our last opportunity to say goodbye to Thomas, we've already sung the kids out, you may have noticed, or the kids have already left. We didn't sing them out, but that's okay. Normally Thomas sings the kids out, but today, considering all of this, actually I would like to lead us in singing Thomas out, if that's okay. So, Jeannie. As you leave this friendly place, love gives